Hey guys, and welcome back to Coffee with Carissa. I am here with my third guest. She is an education major and she is super cool and I'm excited. Hi! We have coffee from Holy Grail Starbucks. What'd you get, Brenna?
I got a grande caramel macchiato with skim milk. My steel straw.
Saving the world.
Yes.
And I have a cafe mocha. So we're gonna go back to my apartment because I'm back in Cuse this time. And we're gonna talk about Brenna. Hey guys, and welcome to the third episode of Coffee with Carissa. I am here with Brenna Hart.
Hi.
She is a Syracuse cheerleader and also an education major. And we're gonna find out all about her life while we drink some
Super excited.
some coffee. Okay, so let's just get started. And okay, where are you from?
I'm from Saratoga Springs, New York. I am at Syracuse University.
And
Yes.
what's your official major?
My official major is Inclusive Elementary and Special Education. A very long one.
Wow.
I'm also in the Honors College here, so that gets to be a lot.
And you're a cheerleader.
And I'm a cheerleader.
Okay, so you are an education major, which is part of the reason I wanted to have you on, because I think that there's a lot of stigma around education majors. I think that a lot of people kind of think it's like an easy major, and
Yeah, they do.
You are, like Coach pointed out through the season, like you are the busiest one on our team. Like you're constantly doing things, constantly in your teacher clothes.
True.
Which you look great in.
Thank you.
And you're just like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
You're so driven and like organized, it's unreal. So I want
Thank
you
you.
to talk a little bit about that. Why don't you start with how you knew you wanted to go into education?
So a lot of the people in my family are actually teachers. That's part of the reason why I got into education. I started by working at the Center for Disability Services in Albany with adults, working with them through day-to-day things, life skills, stuff like that. And I decided that I really enjoyed working with people who are labeled with disabilities, but also adults just weren't for me.
Yeah.
So I started exploring teaching since I knew I wanted to work with that specialized group. And by doing that, I started doing student teaching back home in my own district through elementary school. I've student taught first grade there, and then coming to Syracuse, I decided to go for the education program, which is top 13 in the country.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Right? Nobody knows that.
Okay, well, shout out to Syracuse.
So shout out.
Top 13 in the country.
Right?
Shout out to Brenna.
Thank you. But it's hard because a lot of people in Syracuse think Newhouse, which obviously
Yeah.
is so incredible, and Whitman, but nobody ever considers the School of Education.
Yeah.
It's very, very tiny. There are maybe like 30 people in my major right now that are my year. I'm a sophomore, by the way. And so it gets to be frustrating because that is the focus at Syracuse. And our education program is amazing. I love it so, so much. I am so grateful I ended up here. Fun fact, I didn't even want to come to Syracuse.
Oh my god, wait, what? Where'd you want to go? Let's talk about that.
I wanted to go to Boston super bad because go Red Sox,
way.
and I love the city.
Ooh.
Sorry, some tea. But anyway, loved Boston, but I stepped foot on Syracuse after getting accepted, and I was like, I just knew. It was that like feeling that everybody always talks about.
Everybody has that feeling.
Everybody has
I
that
had
feeling
that
here. But yeah, I love Syracuse so, so much. Obviously, cheering makes it fun. Big game days, stuff like that. Like lots of sports fans. The city loves sports here. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds for me. And
you're getting a great education.
I'm getting a fantastic education. It's really super cool being in the city because that's primarily what we focus on is urban education, which isn't necessarily talked about in our society today.
Yeah.
And it's something that's very prominent and that needs a lot of reform. And that's my TED Talk. I could go on forever about education.
So, like, do you get to go to schools in the community? Like, are there disability schools, like, in Syracuse that you've gotten to go to? And, like,
yeah. I've been in 3 different school districts so far. So I've been in Syracuse City School District. Every freshman in the education program gets to go to something called Seymour Elementary, which is a dual language school. So half their
that's
day,
so cool.
so cool. So half their days taught in Spanish, and the other half is taught in English. Most of the kids in Syracuse come from a background where they speak a different language. There's a lot of English language learners, which means that they are like dual language or they primarily speak Spanish at home. And so this school kind of provides that for both of them.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
even know.
I was a literacy instructor there for a kindergartner and a first grader, which was super fun because it gets like your toes into education. And then this year so far, last semester, I was at Baldwinsville, which is about 20 minutes outside the city in a suburbia, which was really interesting. I was in first grade, and we did a lot of focus on community building, making sure everybody feels included. My major is inclusion, so that's a big thing.
So can you talk about the inclusion aspect of that? Like, what exactly, like, is the difference between that and just getting a regular education? Because I feel like people think, like, when you're going into education, like, oh, you're just going to be a teacher. Like, they don't realize that there's so many different things,
goes into it.
And, like, so much goes into, like, what you want to be and what part you want to be and, like, who you want to teach and what your strengths are. So can you kind of talk about, like, how you, like, chose this and then, like, why it's also important to know that, like,
yes,
that's a thing.
So, first and foremost, teaching is so purposeful. Everything you do, every little action, every little word sticks with kids. You probably have all had that teacher that treated you one specific way and you carry it throughout the rest of your life. And so
shout out Jane Sameka.
Everybody has that one teacher. I had one that hung upside down on the ceiling, and that's like all I remember, but it was so cool and it made me feel so excited about his class. And there are so many different things that go into creating those relationships with your students. So inclusion really focuses on that by making sure that no matter your race, your ability, your ethnicity, your gender, no matter what you are as a person, like, you're accepted in this classroom. Like, I don't care, like, what the outside world says. Like,
that's so important.
This is a safe space.
Like, that's so important because, especially just, like, in our climate right now, I feel like a lot of things are being brought to our attention where we think that that's just the case for all education majors and all teachers going into the field. And I think we've learned as a society that that's definitely not the case. So I think that, like, that's so cool that, like, that's an actual major. Like, you're not just learning about how to be a teacher, how to educate. Like, you're learning how to make it all inclusive.
Yeah,
I love this. I'm loving this.
We talk a lot. I'm actually taking a class right now that's called differentiation. So that really focuses on making sure that all of your lessons, every little concept that you're doing in the classroom is able to be reciprocated well by every single student, no matter what. So we do a lot on, like, cultural relevance, especially in the city, because, I mean, for me, like, I have very different experiences than somebody who is of a minority group or who is a male or who is labeled with a disability. So it's very difficult for me to be able to teach to their experiences. So what we have to do is really focus on their community and how they perceive the world and try to implement that within the classroom.
That's so freaking cool. Like,
it's so cool.
I'm sorry. Like, I know I, like, gas everybody that comes on this. but that's, like, so important because
it's so important.
The youth are the future.
The youth are the future.
Like, what has been your experience? Like, I feel like people generally look down on education majors. Like I said before, they think it's, like, such a simple, easy route to take, and, like,
there's a big stigma.
Yeah, do you, like, face that a lot?
I do face that a lot. It is very frustrating being an education major, especially with the way that our education is formed right now. There are a lot of problems and a lot of cracks in it that aren't necessarily focused on, and we have, like, laws implemented to prevent that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's being carried throughout every single school. So my major is very progressive, so trying to implement these perspectives like inclusion, which is still very relatively new
and important,
but it's very prominent.
So important.
But a lot of people also don't think that it's possible, which is very frustrating because you would think that every student feeling like they are included is a necessity in the world. So it's something I think we definitely need to focus on. It's hard being an education major. Long days, lots of planning, lots of trying to be mindful about everything. And obviously the pay is a very big problem that we have in our world right now.
Let me just get on my soapbox here. Why we don't pay teachers more is, like, beyond me, because literally at my worst times in life, teachers have completely changed my life, and, like, there are so many people who say the same things, and they're literally shaping children that are probably going to be future leaders, nurses, doctors. all the important things that matter, so I just don't understand why we don't put that as a priority. But now I'll get off my soapbox and let them continue. But,
well,
anywho.
That is really hard, especially proposing it to different people. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm in the honors college, so I am very, I try to be very mindful about everything I'm learning and put myself into it. Chris will vouch for this. I'm very driven.
Yes.
I'm very headstrong, so I try to give everything my 100%.
Yeah.
And so, like, people were like, well, why wouldn't you go be an engineer or be going to science where you know you're going to be secure in your job? People who are in the education field definitely know that it is ever so changing and not secure. I am in school right now for education, and what I experience in schools today could be nothing like when I get out of school in 2 years. Like, we have no idea what it's going to look like. And with every change in government and, like, policy, like, it's just
and state laws
so in state laws, it's so up in the air. So that's a big reason why people discourage education as well, because we're just not sure what it's going to look like.
Changing.
It's consistently changing.
Like, not only are you teaching students new material, you're constantly learning new material. Like,
yes, the world is constantly changing.
Like, you can't just like not know this new math technique.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's another aspect that I feel like people don't realize how hard teachers work. Is like,
you have to be constantly re-educating yourself about everything. Every lesson I do, I have to do abundance of research, just because I just don't know everything, and that's the reality of it. But you don't want to teach students wrong information, and you also want them to be mindful about different perspectives. Fun fact, textbooks for children do not sell unless Texas approves them.
Yeah, I knew this. Oh my god, it's
because
crazy, guys.
Texas has the biggest population, and so they will sell the most textbooks there. And if Texas does not approve of that history that's written, textbooks will not produce the information, which is so problematic. Not saying that Texas has any problems or anything, but obviously the experiences that happen in Texas are very different than upstate New York and the city. It's just, we have to make sure that everybody feels safe and everybody feels welcome, and
everybody has an opportunity
everybody
to
has
learn.
an opportunity. And people talk a lot about equality, but I think something that really needs to be emphasized is equity, because not everybody has the same opportunities. If we give everybody a piece of pen and paper, like, they're all not going to be able to write, like, things like that. Like, we need to give different people different access to materials for them to be just as successful. So, like,
if somebody's farther behind, you need to give them more help.
Right, like, you need to give them different access to materials, different accommodations, modifications. So realizing that, just saying, like, oh, well, I gave them all the same opportunity. Well, you didn't, because
they were farther behind.
And therefore, like, you were setting them up for failure.
Advice to people who, like, think they want to be teachers but are kind of scared about, like, the salary and just all of the stigma around it. Like, what would you say to them?
I would say that if you're even a little bit passionate about it, take that and run with it. Don't just do it because you think you would like to be around kids, because
I think that's so important.
It's
oh
so
my God,
important.
Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes, so a lot of people think, oh, I like children, so I will be a teacher. You might like children, but you also might not like 30 children every single day for the rest of your life. And so you have to be mindful about that. It's more than just hanging out with kids all day, and you have to have a very different presence around them. And you have to be, like I keep saying the word mindful, but really you do have to be so careful and thoughtful with everything that you do and say. Like, you can't be their best friends all the time as much as you can, like, have good relationships. You also have to be a important presence that is trying to teach them morals and values and importance of listening to others and their ideas. So it's very different than just liking kids. It's wanting kids to be successful and doing anything and everything to get them there. So,
have you ever thought about, like, being a political activist for education?
Okay, so actually, I will explain. As much as I love teaching, that's kind of not the end goal for me.
Okay, I'm so excited. Let's hear about it.
All right, so I am very obviously passionate and very open to talking about my perspectives and what I've come to learn so far at Syracuse University, which is awesome. Again, anyway, so I think that there's more than just being a teacher. Obviously, as you're a teacher, you affect what goes on in your classroom, and you can be outspoken and an activist like I am. However, you can only control what goes on in your classroom. So I have thought about possibly maybe going into administration or going to law of education one day where I could influence other people's perspectives on a larger scale.
Because this is an education video and I can't say that.
Oh, right. Yeah. But basically, I would want to influence the way that people think about education because I think it is so important to view inclusion as a norm. And I don't think it is. So I really am excited because I think teaching is a great segue for me into this like world of opportunities, influencing people.
Education's the key, ladies and gentlemen.
It opens so many doors.
Watch out, we're gonna have Secretary Brenna Hart for education.
I would love that. Okay.
I would love
That's a very big change than what we have right now, but maybe it's a change we need.
That's the tea.
That's the tea.
Part of what comes with education, though, is like you have to be so professional around your kids. Obviously, you are a college student, and you're also a cheerleader.
Yeah, so it is very complex, especially with kids being so young in social media. They look you up on social media.
And like that, yeah.
And
so like, and you teach pretty young kids.
I
and,
do.
Like,
I
our
teach young kids.
Our uniforms are they're the regular cheer uniforms, which is totally fine, and I love them because it's what cheerleading is.
It's what cheerleading is.
So that's not what I'm saying, just in case anyone.
No, don't take our wording wrong. So don't get it twisted. Anyway, what it is I'm proud of me working so hard to become a D1 athlete, and so I really tried to embody that perspective more because cheerleading is a sport. And so I've really tried to embody that more and be like, Miss Hart worked so hard to become a cheerleader, and it's a passion that I carried, and I continuously tried harder and harder until I reached this goal. And so I try to be proud of it in front of my kids. All my kids know. I see some of the games and they get very excited about it. It is hard though because I've had like professors especially tell me that like they look me up on Google and my social media and they tell me that I should not present myself in my cheerleading uniform because it shows like our stomachs and our skin and we're not wearing as much clothing as maybe education. Especially with education and being headstrong like I had mentioned previously, I have decided that this is a passion of mine and I worked very hard and I'm not going to suppress this part of me. And if then a job, if I go to apply for a job and they have a problem with this, it's obviously something we can discuss. However, I'm not going to remove that aspect of my life when it is a very prominent piece in who I've become. And so I think it's important to show that, like...
And just like baseball players wear baseball pants.
It's the same thing.
They get comments made to them. Like, it's the same thing with us. We don't ask for those comments, but, like, cheering in a full-bodied suit is not effective. No. It is not what we want to do. It's not comfortable.
There's a lot of stigma around cheerleading as well, which is... We could go on a whole other talk about that. However... for me, just like there's stigma around education, I try to look at what it realistically is, and I'm more than welcome to educate people on what Carissa and I do for cheerleading. We both come from a competitive background where it's more sort of like gymnastics. It's more like we've worked really hard to do elite things, like throw people in the air and throw our bodies in the air. And, like, it's very dangerous.
It's really dangerous, but it's like we're comfortable with it and it's what we enjoy. Like I could never throw a basketball.
No.
Like ever.
Never. I could do a backflip any day.
Throw a basketball. Just yank it.
Throw it.
Guys, I do know how sports work.
We know. We get it.
That's
we
another
watch
stigma.
It all day.
That's another stigma that
we're
we
not
don't know what's going on.
stupid.
We're not dumb. I just like so I'm I was really interested in how you handled that.
Like everything in life, it's difficult to balance passion and your free time in life, especially in college. It gets to be difficult because there's stigma around that as well. And then balancing being professional in the field consistently on a daily basis, interacting with children who have families, who have parents, with administrators and teachers, who have opinions on who you are and as a person, how you're affecting their children. Which is fair, obviously.
Yeah. Did you just see that huge piece of ice fall?
It was really scary.
So bad. I was like...
I saw it on the news coming across.
I was like, we're done.
Anyway, everyone's going to have an opinion on you, essentially, is what I've come to realize. And what's important is that you have your own opinion about yourself and you're proud of who you are and you take that and carry that through everything you do.
I love Brenna. I want Brenna to be my teacher.
Thank you.
That's like, and also I feel like you can empower so many boys and little girls who are like, I want to be a cheerleader, I want to do this, and like, you're empowering them to be more than just a cheerleader. You're empowering them to be like confident within it and like end the stigma around like our sport and education as a whole. And that's freaking dope.
I know. I face a lot of stigmas. For whatever reason, I decide to choose things that
we did not take the like least controversial
routes, we definitely took very controversial paths. However,
but I feel like we're really similar in that where we're very, like you said, headstrong and passionate. Like, can you take us through a day in Brenna,
life?
Your busiest day of the week.
Busiest day.
Take us through it from morning to night in full cheer mode. Everything.
All right. So the worst days I've ever experienced are when I'm teaching, have class, and we have a game. The three big whammies, nightmare, absolute nightmare. So this happened last semester very often. I was also taking 21 credits last semester. I do not recommend ever. In the honors college, you can overload your schedule, and so my major, I have to take certain blocks, they're called, where they have set credits I have to take at a certain time altogether. And then I also have to do like my placement in like certain schools. So I taught half a day last semester, then I'd have class after that until the night since I had to teach in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I would have to go from class to games. And then
like, we have to be
feeding
ready.
Yourself, looking presentable for TV,
and teaching,
getting all of your work done. Those got to be very difficult things. I will tell you, I am a super, super crazy organizer. I have little post-its of to-do lists everywhere. I have a very strict color-coded agenda. Every class, everything I do has a color. But it's the only way to get by. I swear to God.
I can imagine.
It gets to
you
be
should
a
see
lot.
my planner. I think you'd punch me.
Oh my God.
It's like,
is it messy? I would probably get anxiety.
Just a little.
I don't want to see it. Don't show me that.
Okay.
I mean, basically, I'm not trying to make everybody be a teacher. That's not my goal. It is good to be aware of what's going on. So if you want, look up inclusion, get some more into it, seeing how children are treated in society today and how that's going to affect the rest of their lives, just how you were in school one day and how that affected who you became.
Yes, this is Brenna Hart. She is the cutest, nicest, most genuine, hard-driven, amazing educator ever. And I'm so honored to have her talk about all of this because I think that education is something super important to me. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I love talking about this.
Brenna. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
So excited.
If you're an education major out there, I hope you loved this video. I hope you will give it a big thumbs up, a big share, get in the comments, follow Brenna on Instagram. I'll put it down below. Do you have Twitter?
Yeah, I have a Twitter.
Oh my God.
Put all my handles down below.
Okay,
if you have questions, reach out to me.
Down below. You can reach out to her about education, about Syracuse, about cheerleading, whatever you want. Obviously, you can always reach out to me. My handles will be down below too. But what you need to do is you need to like, subscribe, share comment. Come on, get your girl, get us out there, get the conversation about education
the flow going. Let's go.
Help your girl out.
She's amazing, isn't she? Come help some girls out. Just trying to make it through.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us on Coffee with Carissa, and we will